Robservations with Robert, Meyer, Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your Viceroy of Verisimilitude. You know me, Robert Meyer Burnett, that guy who, wow, there was no Robservations today, so this is, actually, it's not even today anymore. It's another day. But here I am, it's Robservations Midnighter, episode 20. I still haven't, I haven't really decided, is this a good show? I don't know. What I like is all of you. I like talking to all of you, you imagination connoisseurs, you members of this, the Post-Geek Singularity community. But I don't know if it's a worthwhile show yet. I haven't really defined it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I keep doing this? I don't know. I love the midnight metal on the weekends. That's fun. That feels like a rollicking good time. This show is different. I never knew what I wanted this to be. I just thought it was experimental. Should I keep it going? I don't know. I guess, every show is different. You just never know what's going to happen. And of course, as you all know, I'm going to bring you on later. And I always ask, if you haven't been on the show, hang back. Let's see who shows up. Maybe somebody new. I don't know. I'm having a little pistachios tonight. I love pistachios. And, we'll see who shows up, because I think that's been the most fun of this show, is making it all about you. So anyway, I've been reading books about unidentified, UFOs my whole life. They're not even called that anymore. Like, I thought unidentified flying objects was kind of timeless. Kind of something that would never go away. And then they had to, because of the stigma attached, it's like every other word that's gone out of favor. Like, oh, you can't say that. It's too offensive. It might trigger some people. Can't say UFOs anymore. Or as Ed Straker would say, UFOs. You can't say UFOs anymore. But you know what you can say? Unidentified aerial phenomenon. And you know what? If that was a phrase coined in the 50s, then it would go out of style. You can't say it like those other words you can't say anymore. I can't even say them because I don't want to get canceled or demonetized or taken off YouTube because I said some word that fell out of favor. Even though it's an onomatopoeia, it sounds like it is. I mean, UFO. That's kind of one word. I never thought of it as an acronym. I know it is, but UFO, or as Ed Straker says, UFO. I always like that. But as we all know, there's apparently a big report that's going to be released to Congress about UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. I mean, I would love somebody, an expert on etymology or acronyms or whatever. Why go from UFO to UAP? UAP sounds like the United Arab Protectorate. Not that there's anything wrong with that. There is no UAP, but there could be. UAP sounds like a country, whereas UFO, and maybe it's only because, since I was a kid, I've been thinking about UFOs. Of course, Jerry Anderson made his seminal show UFO starting in 1969. A good year, to say the least. And I just, UFO has been with me my whole life. I don't want to, I have to stop myself and I have to think UAP. Unidentified aerial phenomenon. I liked when it was a flying object. Unidentified aerial phenomenon could be anything. It could be swamp gas. It could be someone's drone. Apparently there's crazy super drones flying around that nobody knows what they are. But no, it's UAP now. And of course, the child in me wants to say unidentified aerial penis for no reason at all, just because penis starts with P. And I think a flying penis would be kind of funny. But, so anyway, this big report, it's going to be dropped on Congress soon. Let's look at this article. This was in Deadline. Even Deadline is writing articles about Even this article, I love it. We're still calling it the UFO report, even though we all know it's UAP. Thank God Bruce Herring published this today at 8:55 p.m. Well, it was yesterday. On June 24th. Look, that famous photo, whatever that is, Can we just do that? The long-awaited U.S. government report on the airborne phenomena known as unidentified flying objects. I love that they're not even bothering with the UAP designation. No. They're going full on with UFOs. I love it. May land as soon as tomorrow, which is today. The report is expected to be based largely on observations by military pilots on their encounters with the objects, which often flout the laws of physics and demonstrate capabilities far beyond U.S. technology. I mean, what's so funny about that is, shouldn't we be, panicking or running in the streets going, wait a minute, Elizabeth and I were watching just for fun the day after tomorrow, it's a polar vortex, we're all going to freeze. I swear to God, this is just a disinformation campaign where we're all we're just yeah, UFOs. We're so disaffected now. Hey, the Great Barrier Reef is dying. It's bleached. It's dead. The ice shelf in Antarctica is just falling into the ocean. Miami, there's buildings, 50 people are just dead. Their apartment building collapsed after years of whatever. By the way, on a side note, I'm very sorry for everybody who might have lost loved ones. I mean, horrific. Horrific. But we are very jaded. I don't get it. But, Anyway, the Pentagon, in recent years, has released or confirmed the authenticity of video from naval aviators showing enigmatic aircraft exhibiting speed and maneuverability exceeding known aviation technologies. The report from the Director of National Intelligence will be compiled from heretofore classified military files. The focus will be on whether the decades-long rash of experiences and contacts by fighter and commercial pilots, warships, and other sources with unexplained phenomenon constitute a threat to the U.S. As if we could do anything about them. Wow, you listen to pilots holy shit, how fast is this going? A lot faster than we can go. Do they constitute a threat? I think not. It's just a bunch of 16-year-old aliens out for a joyride. Look, Dad. Look, look, Predator. My dad's a predator. He usually comes here to hunt, but I'm here. I'm just fucking with the humans. No less than former U.S. Majority Leader Harry Reid has recently speculated that UFO parts are in the hands of defense contractors. The answers contained in the forthcoming report are unlikely. Well, ask Bob Lazar, he'll tell you. The answers contained in the forthcoming report are unlikely to conclude that highly advanced extraterrestrials are the cause, although the report may not entirely rule them out, creating, in effect, a soft disclosure. I'm not saying they're aliens, but I mean, do we live in a meme universe or what? I think it's so funny. Talk about disinformation campaigns. We are being so gaslit all everywhere. We've now been conditioned to think that, there might be extraterrestrial creatures, buzzing around our skies and in our oceans, but it's not as fun as the Russians parking their carrier group right outside Hawaii. Anyway, in August, the Pentagon formed a task force to detect, analyze, and catalog UAPs that could potentially pose a threat to U.S. national security. In December of 2020, U.S. Senator Marco Rubio asked for a formal investigation. You guys are a little bit behind the eight ball. Hey, Marco, 2020? A lot of these videos came from 2004. Where y'all been? I know the GOP, you guys really don't want to do anything. You just want to block and filibuster. But hey, you know what? If you want to have a UFO report 16 years after some of the video we have, God bless you. Because, wow, you're Johnny on the spot. Well done. His request called for an unclassified report on everything government agencies know about UFOs within 6 months. Well, gosh, I don't know. I mean, I remember I saw the Sun Classic Pictures, The Outer Space Connection, back in the 70s, narrated by Rod Serling. It talked about UFOs in the 70s. Project Blue Book was wrapped up before that. But hey, Marco, 2020, welcome to the modern age, bruh. Retired U.S. Navy Commander Alex Dietrich is expected to appear in the report. The former fighter pilot was part of the fabled aircraft carrier USS Nimitz that became involved in a 2004 encounter off California's coast with unknown aircraft. The devices were described as resembling large tic-tac breath mints. This was, of course, as we all know, after the USS Nimitz returned from 1941, where they almost decided to stop the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, but cooler heads prevailed. Dietrich told Reuters this week that the object lacked any visible flight control surfaces or means of propulsion. I'm trying to normalize it by talking about it, Dietrich said, adding, I hope I'm not the UFO tic-tac person for the rest of my life. There are worse things to be, Dietrich. The New York Times reported on June 3rd that the report found no evidence that unidentified aerial phenomenon are alien spacecraft. Still, they can't explain what they are and can't rule out that they may be aliens. You know what? I mean, I can't even I don't even recognize what half the things in my vegetable garden are. So by God, they must be aliens. I love the fact that, well, they're here. We can't explain them. We'll rule out that they're aliens, or we won't because maybe they are, but they're here. You know, what a wacky thing. Who would have thought we would have lived in a world where UAPs are going to be reported on by the government and everyone's like turning their heads away. Even the Pentagon is loath to admit that the people, the guy they had running their investigation actually worked for them. I mean, it's just, this is a wacky subject. The question I have for you is, do you believe in UAPs? I know Gil Bavell will talk my ear off talking about this very subject, but we shall see. I don't know. I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. I'll tell you what I do know. I'm going to drop a little link into the live chat and see who's going to show up. I don't know. The question that I have for all of you: do you believe in unidentified aerial phenomena? Do you believe in UFOs? Do you want to meet an alien? If someone said to you, hey, man, if you had to give up one night for a deep, cleansing anal probe by alien life forms, would you? Or would you not? Do you believe? Are you like Fox Mulder? Do you want to believe? Do you not believe? Should you believe? I don't know. It's up to you. Hey, look who's here. Paul from Twin Flicks is here. Paul's, he's hanging out. Paul from Twin Flicks is here wearing, is that like a, I think that's a, oh, Stub McShave's here too. Look at that. I got two veterans, two people I know. I think we're going to talk UFOs tonight. That's what we're going to talk. And not, I mean, we can talk about Ed Straker. I have a giant 7-foot tall poster of him right over there. I can see it right now, but we'll see. I don't know where Stubble is. Normally I can see him. I can't see him tonight. He left. He's been co-opted. You know, he's oh, wait a minute. Wait, I know what just happened. Something crazy just happened to my entire, I don't even know. Oh, what? I had my whole thing and it just disappeared. I don't even know what to say. Well, I'm just going to bring on Paul and put him in because I can't. I lost something I needed to make. I'm going to put you in, Coach. I'm going to John Cafferty. No, it's not. It's not John Cafferty. That's the Beaver Brown Band. I don't do that. John Fogerty. That's what I said. That's what I said, right? Isn't that what I said? Oh wait, no. Are you? Oh, are you going to play center field though? Are you? Oh, thank God, because somebody needs to on this show. So we're going to talk UFOs, and I'm going to bring on, of course, Mr. Twin Flicks himself. Well, it's one half of the Twin Flicks. So please welcome to the Midnighter, Paul from Twin Flicks.
Hey, Rob. Hey, everyone at the PSG, PGS.
Paul, let me ask you. First of all, what's up with UAPs? They're always going to be UFOs. I don't know if people are embarrassed.
You know, I said this in the chat, in the live chat. I've always been used to UFOs. Growing up with UFO, the terminology UFO, and this UPA thing.
UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Look, I love the word phenomenon as much as the next guy. Phenomena is a great word. There was even a John Travolta movie called Phenomena. I'm cool with it, but it's like unidentified flying object means it's a fucking ship, man. There are aliens inside of it. Unidentified aerial phenomenon could be like my sister's Beanie Baby thrown in the air and someone takes a picture of it. That's kind of unidentified. It's an aerial phenomenon. UFO is pretty definitive, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm never going to get used to UPA, or UAP.
UAP, come on, get
UAP.
it right, bro.
See, I still can't get used to it. I can't get used to it. It's UFO is the terminology for unidentified flying object. Phenomenon does not mean it's an object. It means it's a phenomenon.
I know. You know what? I mean, Britney Spears was a phenomenon in her day before she was, her father demanded conservatorship over her. Come on. Right?
I guess they're thinking phenomenon means unexplained. I guess that's their thinking. I don't know.
I can explain it. Alien craft outrunning our ships, taking over our oceans and our planes can't fight them. I mean, you ask yourself, why is it unidentified? Why you got to play me like that?
Yeah, and I've been asked before, do I believe aliens exist? Do I believe that they're coming down to visit Earth? And I'm on the same wavelength as you, as I feel, look, they're way higher technology, way more advanced than we are. What need would they have to come to Earth?
To fuck with us for fun.
That's all. That's all.
Because that's what I would do if I had advanced technology. I'm like, let's go fuck with those Earth people. They're so stupid. They can't even pass an infrastructure bill to fix their bridges. How great are they? They're not gonna do anything to us. I mean, for God's sake, Benghazi. I mean, it's like I'm telling you, they are fucking with us for fun. It's like it's the equivalent of 16-year-old aliens that just got their license. What are we gonna do today? Hey, let's go to Earth and fuck with the humans. Oh yeah, let's do that. That's what they are. I'm telling you.
Probably, most likely.
Well, no, I don't mean to be glib, but perhaps who am I to say what they are? I don't know. I'll tell you. So but seriously, Paul, what do you think? What do you think? Is it aliens? Come on, really. Tell me what you think. Yay or no?
I honestly don't think they are.
Well, then where's the technology? Is it China flying weird drones? AI? What is it?
I don't know. I personally think it is some new technology that's being tested, that's being used, and who's ever seen it, they don't know exactly what it is. And that's what I think. But, who knows?
You know who might know? A man that's in Colombia.
Ooh, let's find out.
A man that's in Colombia, a man that's a film student, a man that's actually married to a Colombian woman. And if you've seen Colombian women, I'm telling you, he did a good job. I haven't seen his wife, but I'm just going to assume he did. He's in the film business. Let's bring on Alex Montano, all the way from Colombia. Alex, welcome once again to the Midnighter. Do you believe in aliens? Are they aliens? What's up? What do you think?
Have
you seen unidentified aerial phenomenon like in the skies above Colombia?
I've always wanted to see one, and I do believe in them. And it's one of my dreams to see one. Like, I keep waiting for that day.
Me too. I'm waiting for the anal probe. Like, I'm all about, fire in the sky shit. I've seen it. I don't care. Strap my head down. Put some weird dental implant in me. shove some wazoo right up my own kazoo and implant whatever you want. I'm waiting.
It's part of the experience. It's part of the experience. You have to deal with it.
I know, and I'm perfectly willing and waiting. I mean, I keep I've been on lonely country roads. I've seen nothing. It's never happened. There's never been a craft that landed in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been the same way. I've gone to places where there's supposed to be alien sightings, but never seen anything.
I mean, you'd think the aliens would be like, ha ha, we're here. What are you going to do about it? But no. Why do they just like buzz military aircraft? Like, why don't they just fly over our major cities and like float there and go, what do you think we are? Ha ha ha. Like, it's so weird. It's so bizarre.
Let me ask you both a quick question. If aliens actually exist, what do you imagine that they look like? If you actually met one, what's your imagination? What do you think they look like?
I want them all to be like unbelievably hot females, that span the entirety of human history. But they probably don't. As a matter of fact, if they are, I would imagine that they look very different from us, and I think specifically their size. I think that we are uniquely shaped because of our environment and our gravity, and I would think that alien, if there are sentient alien races flying around in technology greater than us, I bet they are very different in terms of size and volume than we are. I think they're probably smaller, which is one of the reasons that, and they have a different environment, whether it's a liquid environment or something. They're not, I mean, if you think about it, they're probably not anything like us. Like, we might not even be able to recognize if we caught one of these things and pried it open and we're looking directly at what's inside, we might not even recognize that what's in it is a life form. Not the way we know it, because even our science fiction is still based around anthropomorphizing our own shape and imposing it on aliens. Monsters are, even Gort's like, oh, he's 7 or 9 feet tall. From Day the Earth Stood Still. So, the Predator, the alien, the big chap. All of our favorite aliens are with basically E.T. Oh, photo. They're in the same realm as us. Because we can't imagine anything that's not something we've already seen on Earth. And I think if there are aliens, unless our bipedal sentient life form is some universal constant, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, you tend to think what we see on TV, like what you were saying, the same length, shape, same humanoid features, but alien, I think, not even from this world, completely opposite of what humans are. So they have to look different. They have to be a different shape. I totally agree with that.
Like even on arrival, when you see the aliens, they are pretty much octopus. They're something that we know how it looks. So I also think that it's gonna be something completely out of our imagination. Something that we can't even.
And also, it's like our visions. If you're religious, we believe that the Judeo-Christian God of our Western culture, like, we still anthropomorphize God, a being that could create the entire universe and give humanity life. In our minds, we still think that God's some old dude with a beard. And the only difference is what color his skin is depending on where you are in the world. We still anthropomorphize our creator as God, which to me is wacky. Why would you think that? Why would you think an alien or a being that could literally give creation or create the universe, why would he look anything like us? Like, I would think that he would be, like, if I was looking at God, I don't think my perception would even allow me to see that entity. Like, I have nothing that's in my perception. God would, even if he was literally standing before me, I don't believe that my perception would allow me to see him or it or her or them or whatever it is. I don't think that and that's the way God would want it. But we still, we anthropomorphize our own God to be a dude. You know, like Jesus is the Son of God. He's like a guy who, he was the same kind of guy that lived. He wasn't like 10 feet tall. We anthropomorphize God as somebody who looked like us, who walked amongst us. How arrogant. You know, our own gods. We can't even imagine our own gods to be something that isn't connected to us. It's like, well, he gave his own begotten son or whatever to us. He looked just like us. He hung out. He wore the same clothes. He turned over the moneylenders' things. I mean, it's not like he came down and decided to drink the entire ocean. You know, look at my power. I've drank the ocean. I'm not just going to walk across it. I drank the whole thing. It's in my belly right now, and your entire planet's parched. And if you decide to accept me into your heart and soul, I'll give you your water back. Like, he didn't do anything that big. So how are you supposed to know? How are we to know? Like, let's say there was a UAP on your front lawn. What would it need to do to convince you it was actually extraterrestrial? What if it looked like a car, same size as a Buick? Would you believe it was from an alien planet? What would it have to do to convince you that? What would you need? What proof would you need to make you believe that whatever UAP they get is actually an alien craft? What would be the thing that would convince either one of you?
Well, I think seeing something that you've never seen before, maybe something you've never imagined before, just something completely out of this world, nothing you've seen on TV, film, comics, books, just something completely different and original.
But you can't even imagine what that would be.
No.
What if it can get in your mind and try to imitate something that you are familiar with, so you can, so you don't freak out that much?
Right, but I think
it can do that.
That would presuppose some alien civilization would even care.
Yeah.
Like, if they had that kind of technology with what has been described, the technology is 1,000 years more advanced than anything we have now. If somebody had that technology, any sentient alien being, it would be like us walking by a beehive or an anthill. Like, why would they care about us? Like, it's so funny that we actually believe that if there were, let's just assume that the UAPs are in fact alien craft, and they're flying around in the ocean, and or moving through the ocean, moving through the air. Do they even know we're here? And do they even care? Because with their advanced technology, if you have that kind of technology that can make that kind of thrust and inertial dampening and all that, at any one time, I would assume somebody could snap whatever their mandible looks like and eradicate all life on this planet pretty instantaneously with the kind of energy that is at their disposal. But the fact that they don't, the fact that the people see them, and apparently they're all over the oceans and things, the military knows this, and it's become par for the course. But I'm like, isn't that weird?
Well, I mean, that's what I've always thought is, as like what you were saying, they would be such higher intelligence, such a higher being than us, that we would be like, and like us walking past an anthill, completely meaningless to us. So in that respects, why would they even want to contact us? It may not even be a thought to us. And then if that is true, then why would they even come here? It's just all these different questions that come up in my brain about if they're that high of a being where they don't even look at us or care about us, then why would they come here in the first place? But if they are here, why are they here?
Well, I mean, we do broadcast into the universe. I mean, very like contact style. We have been broadcasting. The first broadcast was the Olympics. Was it the 39 Olympics, the 36 Olympics in Munich? That was the first broadcast. Like, we saw that in Contact. So there has been broadcasts coming out of our planet, and if that Hawaiian asteroid that moseyed on through our solar system, Oumuamua, whatever you pronounce that cigar-shaped asteroid that came through in that interesting orbit. Maybe they were just like, tuning in, going, oh, there's a broadcast coming from this planet. Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they came here. But they realized these are just, I mean, it's interesting. There's life here, but I mean, we believe that we're worth talking to because we're us.
Yeah.
But what if we're not?
Like always.
Let me
There has
ask
to
you.
be something in the planet that they might be interested. Like, I don't think it's us. I really don't think it's us. Maybe there's an element that they don't have in their planet that they just want to study it. But I don't think it's us. Like, I don't think they even care about what we do for fun.
No, but I think that look, if they were, let's run it down. If there's an alien civilization out there and they stumbled across our planet for whatever reason, you know, and you're doing a planetary survey or something, the aliens that are flying whatever technology is available, so it's far more in advance of us. I think that studying us as a biological case subject. I mean, there can't be, obviously, in this solar system, there is not another race of beings on a planet that are as technologically advanced as we are, assuming, you know, that there aren't weird, like, silicon-based life forms in the oceans of Europa or something. So they might show up here because we are broadcasting. I mean, can you imagine if you're an alien civilization? It's like, now we're watching, here's I Love Lucy. You know, here's the Partridge Family. And when we're broadcasting this, what is an alien? An alien race is going to be like, this is what they're sending into space? Like Oprah? I don't even understand. Can you imagine if something is non-corporeal or gaseous or some weird silicon-based life form is looking at these people, looking at like the Jerry Springer show, some kind of a talk show where people are yelling at each other? I mean, what are the aliens? They're going to sit there and they'll be like, I don't even know what this means, you know, like, imagine the stuff we've sent out into the universe that said, it's bad enough. We're like, hey, we're here. Come visit our planet. But sitcom episodes, like, yes, the entire, every episode of Friends and Seinfeld and your favorite sitcom has been broadcast into space. You know, a la Galaxy Quest. Oh, we got your historical records. I mean, do we want alien? It's no wonder they don't talk to us. I wouldn't.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question here. Why do we always have to perceive alien contact to be something dangerous? You know, on movies, books, TV shows, they always show aliens come down, and it's always something dangerous. See, like V, you know, they're here to steal our water. Why does it always have to be dangerous instead of being peaceful?
Because we don't know who they are, and we consider them a threat. I think that humans, everything that it's unknown is a threat. I don't know why, but everything, it's always like that.
I know.
In my opinion.
I mean, I mean, that's a funny thing. You'd think that people, it's like what Will Smith said in, I don't think anybody who could come all this way is here to start a fight, or whatever he said. Yeah, they are. Like they don't even perceive us as a fight. They've just shown up with their technology. They're like, these people are annoying. They're killing their planet. They're stupid. Americans, like, they won't even pass an infrastructure bill. We don't care about the GOP or the Democrats. You're all dumb. We're going to take you out and fix the climate of the planet. We're going to leave and make it perfect, and you guys don't belong here anymore. I mean, it's why would any advanced alien race look upon us with anything other than disdain? We wantonly pollute our environment. Like, I don't know one reason why a technologically advanced species that could come here, a spacefaring race that's maybe 1,000 years in advance of us, why would they even bother with us? We want to believe that we have something to offer. But a species that's 1,000 years older than we are, that has technology that we'll never achieve, why would they care? They're like, these people are, these creatures, they don't even live in harmony with the rest of the creatures on their planet. I mean, I don't know if people saw the news, but this week, a bunch of cows broke out of a slaughterhouse. They like bailed, and they're all rounded up except two, and one of them was fighting for his life, like fucking up the people that came to get him. And then what happened is Diane Warren, whose song "It's Been a Long Road" that opens up Enterprise, that Diane Warren says, you know what? I'm going to pay to have this feisty cow taken to an animal sanctuary where it can live out the rest of its days, because that's how much of a badass he is. I mean, it takes a songwriter whose song Enterprise, it's from the movie Been a Long Road. It wasn't even written for Star Trek. She wrote it for Patch Adams. She has to go rescue another alien creature, a cow, because that poor schmuck broke out of jail, broke out of the slaughterhouse, and wants to live some more. And we need a singer-songwriter whose song is on the front of fucking Enterprise to be like, I'm going to pay for that cow to be put into a sanctuary. And aliens, we want aliens to show up and be like, hey, how's it going? I would love if aliens landed on the White House lawn. They're like, so the cow that escaped, that Diane Warren, the songwriter for the theme song of Enterprise, what happened to that cow? Did you guys take care of that cow? We're judging you. If the cow's still alive, we'll spare the human race. If it's not, you've got 2 days and we're going to eradicate all human life. Like, why would they...
And you know, we've seen, I think it was some Star Trek episodes, a couple movies here and there where alien comes to try to teach us to live better and teach us to be peace among each other. We wouldn't listen to them. There's no way the government would ever listen to them. They would assume just eradicate the alien life form for saying that rather than to work with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love it if the aliens just, the first person, like Mitch McConnell comes down and goes, no, listen, the GOP is, where there's going to be a filibuster. We're not listening to the aliens, not today, not next week. And if Joe Biden wants to listen to the aliens, we're going to make sure you can't listen to the aliens. And by the way, you're not going to put through a Supreme Court. There's no way, Joe, you're going to elect anyone to the Supreme Court, even if there are aliens in your corner. That's what would happen. And the aliens are like, all right, fuck all y'all, we're leaving.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, like, come on. We're not. Why do we put up with this shit? And it's so funny. Like, we believe, like, what, our idiocy is suddenly going to be. Can you imagine if a technologically advanced race that has 0-point energy that can do half the things that these UAPs can do? Can you imagine if those people showed up and tried to come down and be like, hey, we want to solve all your problems for you? Can you imagine? We're going to be like, fuck you. No. Exactly. We'll solve our own problems. And the aliens are like, you guys can't even vote on to solve your own problems. People would rather have this side not vote and get the credit for it. They just rather not vote at all. So you don't even help each other. So why should we help you? We're going to come here and take by force. Why should we allow the human race to proliferate on this planet? Name one thing that you've done that makes you worthy of surviving as a species, as a race on this planet. Name one thing. I don't know what that one thing is. You can't say, well, what about Shakespeare? We don't read English. I mean, what is Shakespeare? That's great. But what have you actually done for your... we're looking at the records of the 20th century. Care to explain? I mean...
Or even someone may say, well, love would be a reason, but the aliens may not even have a concept of what love is.
Or the aliens realize that, yeah, we love everybody. That's why we have spacefaring technology that allows us to get here. You motherfuckers, you can't even do shit without getting in some argument.
You can't even love your own species when you have so many homeless out on the street, but yet everyone in the government's living in these mansions and don't have to worry about a thing.
You guys don't even love yourself. Excuse me, sir. The fate of humanity rests on your shoulders. I'm an alien from a spacefaring civilization. All I want to ask you is, are you taking prescription drugs to manage your depression? Well, I am. You're all done. All of you. We don't need your medicated, ridiculous population that isn't in touch with their feelings. We have no use for you. The universe is better off without you. We're tired of you encroaching in space. That Chinese space station, you're done. The ISS, we're crashing into the ocean. You're all finished here. I mean, what is one redeeming... How would we plead our case?
I don't see how we could.
That's
We have to,
depressing.
we're probably gonna we would say something like, oh, we're good people. I don't know. We're gonna make better. We're gonna be nicer to each other. And
But they would
2
know
months
that
later,
you're,
we're in a war.
yeah, they know on past history that that we would lie, that we're lying if we say that.
Yeah.
They know they can't trust us.
That happens all the time. Yeah.
Somebody in the chat,
if we don't trust each other. So.
Ken Jack Ben says very few people are homeless, no fault of their own. There's 100,000 homeless people in the greater Los Angeles area.
It's insane.
Every night we walk our dogs, there are homeless people in our neighborhood. There's people that actually live on street corners, or are like people that we know, people that have dogs. We even wave and nod and say, hey, how's it going, to homeless people. Tonight, there was a homeless person. We change up our route. There's a homeless person in our local park that has a kids play area and a baseball diamond. There's homeless people everywhere in the greater Los Angeles area.
And what is the government even doing about it?
There's nothing they can do.
Nothing.
They spend billions of dollars. But what are you going to do? The real problem is, here's the only way to help the homeless. You have to treat them. They have addiction issues and they have mental health issues. They always want to like move homeless camps. They literally are pushing the problem down the road. Literally, not figuratively, literally, because there's no money in building a facility and paying doctors to treat people. I mean, yeah, we have outpatient programs, but nobody really wants to. The only way to solve the homeless problem is to spend an incredible amount of money and involve healthcare workers that they don't want to do. They do the bare minimum, and we have 100,000 homeless in the greater Los Angeles area. They're not solving the problem because there's no profit in it. There is, and I would say, because all the lessons in life are in The Godfather, when Michael Corleone is trying to get in bed with International Immobiliare, he says, basically, I'm paraphrasing, that he believes that helping your fellow man is profitable because you're building a better society, ultimately.
Yeah.
We have 100,000 homeless, and there's more every single day, and we are not doing what we need to do to help them. It's like, well, we'll build low-income housing. You can't even build low-income housing in LA because every different department, every different union, they all want a taste. So one low-income housing apartment costs $500,000. So how do you solve that problem when everybody's got their beak out?
Yeah, and it's basically the same thing here in Texas. I mean, when I first moved to Fort Worth, there was a little less than 500,000 people. Today, there's 1 million people here. And I cannot drive down the street anymore without seeing someone on the street corner begging for food, begging for money, homeless under overpasses. And this is heartless to me. I've seen government people or people who work for the government actually put up signs now saying no solicitation, no homeless here. They're pushing them out from where are they supposed to go?
Well, that's the thing. They're just moving. They're literally kicking them down the road.
Yeah.
So when the UAPs show up and they're like, all right, you know what? Here's the choice we're giving you. We don't understand your homeless problem. We can fix it, but you seem to not be able to fix it. So why should we allow you to proliferate in the universe? I mean, what reason could we possibly give an alien race why we should be spared? I mean, we haven't taken care of the planet. The aliens are like, there's your oceans are the lifeblood of your planet. There are 5 gyres around the world where you have plastic the size of the state of Texas that is right here. There's garbage and sludge and runoff that's choking fish and ruining the ecosystem of your planet. You have allowed this to continue. Why should we allow you to live?
Exactly.
Because we will learn. We will learn and we will be better. That's all we would say.
But
Again,
but you haven't
ridiculous.
learned.
It's ridiculous.
Like, how long do we let you learn? 10 years, 20 years? Like, what you're going to give us a statute limit? Like, you people won't even be like, okay, you're going to protect your environment. We're going to have no emissions by 2035 or whatever. Aliens are like, okay, so really, if an alien came down and said, would you leave your kitchen 20% dirty? Like, would you live in a place where your kitchen, you have 20% of your dishes are over in the corner festering with rats and cockroaches eating the food you didn't clean off? Would you allow that to happen? And people would say, no. Well, then how come you allow 20% of your planet, your biosphere, your ecosystem? Why is it okay that 20%? Why is there so much plastic in the ocean? Why is there so much mercury in your groundwater? Why? Like, all of this is counterproductive and antithetical to your existence on this planet. Why does your EPA say, well, we only have to have 20 parts per million? How about no parts per million? Like, well, we have to have profit. Really? Really? Well, you're all dying and you're not doing anything about it. So we're giving you a week. Say goodbye. We're taking you off this planet. We're restoring it. We're going to replace the balance. You've wrecked this planet over the last 100 years. You didn't really get good at it. So why should we allow you to stay? There's no reason. There's no reason. We are indefensible as a group, as a race. There's no other animal group on this planet, maybe insects, that destroy your own biosphere more than humanity does. Why should we allow you to stay? I mean, science fiction has preoccupied itself for that. Day the Earth stood still.
3 years.
I'm here like Klaatu Barada Nikto. Why? And we're like, whether it's love, no, we don't give a shit about love. You don't love yourself, and you don't love your children, and you don't love your spouse, because if you did, you would not pollute your planet. You would not destroy the planet. And everyone's like, well, no. The answer is you wouldn't do it. The fact is you do it, and you allow it. It's acceptable to you. Why? It's not acceptable to us. Your planet, from where we're standing, from where our technology, every single moment, you know how much carbon dioxide you're pumping out. Let's put a stopwatch on the next 10 seconds, and we will tell you with our advanced technology how much carbon monoxide you are pumping out through all of your emissions across the planet in 10 seconds. And they would probably come up with a shocking number, and they're like, unless you stop doing this right now, you're out. We're getting rid of you. And we would say, well, we need 10 years. No.
You know what? In Mexico, the government implemented this thing where you couldn't take your car out 1 day a week just to control the pollution in the city. You know what people did? Before they got incredibly angry because why can't I take my car? I bought a car. Why can't I take it? How am I going to go to my job? How am I going to take my kids to school? And the reason they got around it was buying another car. So they could use that car
switch off
the day of the week. It's ridiculous. It's like, what does it cost? Like, you can take the subway, you can take a bus, you can walk, and you're just helping the planet a little bit. But we wouldn't do it because we are selfish people who we really don't care about the planet. We care about us. We care about our own good, and that's it.
Yeah, and there's proof that would work when the pandemic first started. There was no traffic in LA, and how much pollution got cleared up just in a week, in 1 week.
I live in Medellin, in Colombia. It's the weather when I moved here. The weather was incredibly hot. It was really bad. Like I can't handle hot water very well. And just a few months after the pandemic started, the weather completely changed. It rains almost every day. The air is clean. It's so much nicer. And the only thing that it took was just less cars in the streets, less people throwing garbage in the streets. It's just one tiny little thing. Like the planet showed us during this pandemic, the little it takes, but something bad has to happen for us to do something for the planet. It's not even our intention. It had to, the planet forced us to do that. It's awful.
Well, what's really great is the planet doesn't care if we're here or not. and we will be the architects of our own demise. And it's, I just find it really interesting. Like, when you throw a party, you want to make sure your guests have a good time. We actually think about one another. Oh, someone's coming to my house. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to vacuum. I'm going to clean all the dishes and wash all the countertops and make sure the house smells good and looks good. And my friends are going to come over and we're going to have a party. But what we can't do that with our entire planet? Like, isn't our planet hosting an ongoing, never-ending party for all of us? And yet, well, if it's not inside here, I'll push it outside. Who cares where it goes?
And during this discussion, I was imagining this: if the UAPs, still can't get used to that. I'm calling them UFOs. If
it's okay. Go ahead. You can. You're amongst friends here, Paul.
If the UFOs are coming to Earth, that there's been proof where you can now see pollution is so bad now. You can see that from space. There's pictures from space on Earth where you can actually see the pollution now. If the aliens come and they see this pollution and they think to themselves, okay, you know what, I'm going to go down there, I'm going to try to help them. Do you know how disappointed they would be if they actually try to talk to us about it? And as you said earlier, you talk to government, they'll say, oh yeah, we'll get to it in 35 years. We'll put a bill, but it'll take 35 years, take 10 years. That's just an excuse. They know they're going to know that's just an excuse for you to say that it's not really going to happen. You're going to keep pushing it further and further and further. It's never going to happen. We're selfish creatures, and we only care about ourselves, and we don't care about the planet, what global warming is doing to the planet, what's doing to the animals. Most people only care about themselves, and they're going to see that and recognize that, and they're not going to want nothing to do with us.
Well, they can already recognize it from it's like when in Star Trek 4, when the bird of prey arrives back in the past to 1986 Earth, Spock's like, judging from the pollution content in the atmosphere, we are back at 20th century, the latter half of the 20th century. You think the aliens can't measure this stuff? Like the technology that they have, they're not going to know? And it's such a funny thing. Like, how would we explain ourselves? That's the funny thing.
Well,
blame it on someone else.
Oh, I don't know why that happens. Well, I didn't do anything. I didn't hit any buttons. Come on, boys, come back. Oh, this was a good conversation. I was quite enjoying it. Hopefully, you'll be able to come back on. I don't know if this was a hiccup in my internet. It very well could be. But Paul Mammer says, why should we allow you to live? AKA, show us what you got. Rob goes out and melts their faces with the power of metal. Well, I would say this. I'm trying to do my part, helping us having this kind of a conversation. I hope, I don't know why everybody was kicked off. Once again, that's a weird thing to have happen, but hopefully, guys, you'll come back. I don't know why you disappeared. Paul Mammer also says, thanks, Rob. I thought I was the only one who took selfies of my butthole. Then on a dark night, I shine my phone up to the stars and hope those photons reach the aliens in charge of probing. Well, Paul, you know what? I've done that, and I wait. But the whole thing is that these aliens, you're counting on them to know what your butthole is and have the same connotations about what buttholes mean to us. The aliens are going to be like, that's just another part of your biological system. Like, why is it something that would bother you? I don't know why our boys got Paul. Why aren't you there? The aliens kicked them off. I don't know. That was odd, Simon. I'm not saying it was aliens. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the government who are stepping in. They just don't like my reasoning for whatever reason. My reasoning for whatever reason. Hey, you know what's coming up? The 15th anniversary of Superman Returns. And if you don't remember, there's me. I was in Superman Returns. There's Jimmy Olsen in the foreground. Yes. You see me for a split second, but you hear my voice. So just a reminder, the I think it's the 28th is the release of Superman Returns, something like that. The 15th anniversary is coming up. I don't know where can anyone get back here, Paul? I didn't even hit I don't even know. Can you come back? Sonny Dominguez says, Rob, what makes you think that the aliens aren't such as flawed and troubled as we are? What if they were just as equally a hot mess, but with far superior technology? Well, here's the thing. I don't believe they could be as much of a hot mess with such superior technology and come here. Maybe they are. But I feel that what allowed them to advance to a certain level is what allowed them, they would come here. If they can come here, they can't be as much of a hot mess as we are. At least I don't think so. I don't know. When is Ross Campbell going to fill in for Rob, says Tom Jr. Jackson. The section is full. No one can get in. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to disconnect this stuff. And I disconnected. I'm going to hit start session, create session, click to copy. I'll hit OK. So there's a new rendezvous session. Let's see if anybody else can get in. Here is the link, and see if it'll work. I don't know if it will or not, but there it is. I'm all lonely now. Twin Flicks shows it's waiting to join. Really, I don't see anything. There's no waiting to join here. I don't see it. Maybe I can go up here, and maybe it is waiting to join. I don't know. Perhaps. Nope. Paul. Paul is here. I see Paul. Paul, are you around? There's Paul. Hello, Paul. And Paul from... I got two Pauls. I got Paul from Twin Flicks and Paul. But Paul, I can hear myself, so you got to use some headphones. Oh, I thought but I think other Paul does too. Paul number 2, sequel Paul. I don't know where Alex went. I mean, apparently the Medellin cartels took him away from us. Paul just put on his headphones. I know there's a big delay, but Paul is but he keeps getting up and leaving. Should I just put Paul in so we can watch what happens in his house? Come on, Paul. I want to put you in, coach, because Paul, I think, has something. Oh, I think that's good. Paul, can you hear me? Paul, I'm going to bring you on anyway. So we got Twin Flicks Paul in the center square, and we got Paul with his headphones on in the right square. So we got Paul squared. Paul, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Ooh, we can hear you too. Paul, where are you coming to us tonight from?
Saskatoon, Canada.
Saskatoon, Canada. My God, do you know John Campea?
I do not know him.
Oh, well, he's on the John Campea show. I do it every morning with him. I'm doing it tomorrow. But he used to work in Saskatoon, Canada. So he would call you a good Canadian kid.
Oh, I've seen the show. I just don't know him personally.
Oh, you don't know him personally? So there you go. So, Paul, good to have you here. And thanks. Paul from Twin Flicks, good to have you. So, Paul in Saskatoon, let me ask you this. What is it? Aliens, yay or nay? Do you believe that UAPs are real? Do aliens exist? And have you seen one?
I have never seen an alien, but aliens for sure exist. I think it's just a matter of the mathematics. Whether they exist in the time we're living in right now, that's a whole different question. I think if you were to say, has aliens ever existed in the entire universe, it'd be ridiculous to rule that out. I think for sure in the millions and millions of stars, there has been life on other planets. Now, whether that life has the ability to reach out to other planets and whether it has the ability to reach out at the exact same time that we have the ability to listen is very, very minuscule. And I think that's why it's such a rare thing.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, the idea of radio and all that, if you think in galactic time, there's only been a very, very, very short sliver of time we could either hear aliens or know they exist, and they could be way ahead of us, so they're not broadcasting on a bandwidth we even know. Very difficult. Stub McShave says, Rob, since the aliens are monitoring our satellite communications and YouTube streams, they know that there's a willing test subject. They're preparing the anal probe as we speak. Brace yourself. Hey, man, Stubble, I'm waiting, but I'm going to break that off, and I'm going to bring home some metallurgy examples. I'm like, I took this from an alien craft. Here it is. Analyze it. You might be right. Darth Plato says, Rob, do you know when people first suspected that there's life on other planets? The earliest reference I've ever seen is the 1780s. A balloon went down in France, and a man or woman, they were surrounded by farmers demanding they strip naked and prove they were human. Well, I mean, they could have been angels or gods from Olympus. You never know. Could be.
Well, isn't there? I've an archaeologist found like in old pyramids, things like that, writings where it looked like visitors came down to Earth during that time.
Totally, Ezekiel, all that. I mean, of course.
Stargate, raw.
Yeah, all that. And the thing is, what's funny is we've already made all that stuff up. We've already internalized it and externalized it. I think real aliens would have a really hard time showing up. They would be laughed at. People would laugh. Any real advanced alien force, if they were benevolent and they landed here, we would laugh at them. We would make fun of them. Comedians would make fun of them. Political cartoonists would make fun of them. By the after the first day, every late night talk show host would be making jokes. They wouldn't be like, "Oh my God, an extraterrestrial race of beings has landed on our planet." I mean, we would not hold them in reverence at all. It would just be like another thing that happened today. What happened today? Well, a building collapsed in Florida and extraterrestrials landed on the White House lawn.
Yeah, I would assume, like, you being a horror fan, you must know that when people are scared, a lot of times they laugh as well. So I think a lot of people in fear would be making jokes and laughing, just like people do at horror movies, at the theater.
That's true. I mean, I don't know, Darth Plato, he asked a good question. When did people first suspect aliens existed? Well, I would say people long ago. I mean, the gods of Olympus were manifestations of aliens in the sense that they tried to anthropomorphize these gods. They live on that mountaintop. They hang out here. Like, why would gods want to hang out on Earth? I mean, it's like, why would they? Like, they're here. Like, don't you have better things to do? Like, well, Zeus is like, no, I've got lots of human women I want to sleep with. I just transform myself,
I was just going to say, to impregnate the women.
Yeah, and it'd be like, but I'm like, don't you have higher ideals, Zeus? Like, don't you want to do something that's worthy of song and opera and history? Is like, I don't know. I think boning down with hot, like, human women, I'd sing a song about that. I mean, what if we found out that our gods were just these petty crooks that didn't care?
Yeah, I've got a question for both of you. Going back to where you said, now I lost my track. Okay. You talked about how the government may respond to aliens. We talked about how comedians and radio show hosts, talk show hosts would. But how would you react if you saw an alien?
If I just saw an alien, not interact with an alien?
No, interact.
Well, for me, what would be really interesting would be the idea of trying to communicate. Like if I met an alien creature and I knew it was an alien creature, and first of all, I would have to, I'd have to establish if it was at all intelligent. We'd have to find some way that we could literally create a brand new language off the cuff where we could communicate. And I think that would be fascinating. Like, how would I be able to talk to an individual that has no understanding of our world at all? They might not even have language as we know it.
Right. And, just like Arrival, I thought that movie handled it so well. You think of what we have here on Earth, dogs and cats. They have eyes that work in the same visible spectrum we do, and ears that work in the same audio spectrum. And that's even in the same spectrum we can't communicate, No. So I think that the chances of communication on our end, unless they have some sort of, high-end Google Translate on their end, but on our end, it would be very, very difficult.
But what I do think that I grew up in a cat household. I never had dogs until 4 years ago when we got Gilbert. One of the really interesting things that I've found the most illuminating having dogs is how well they can communicate. Like, for instance, I've talked to, like, Gilbert, Elizabeth hates this, but when I make myself food, I always save a little bit if it's something they can eat and give it to Gilbert and Tallulah. And if I'm eating something and I'm not making any efforts to give Gilbert food, he walks up to me and he literally puts his paw up. And he'll literally come up to me, and he's a 60-pound dog. He's not a small dog. He's a big dog. But he literally comes up to me and he waits till I see him. He'll put his paw up and he puts it on my knee.
Yeah.
And he's like, bruh, little food? Like, what do you... And he looks at me, and the thing is, if I don't respond right away, he takes his paw off and does it again. Like, he keeps doing it. And to me, that's high-functioning cognitive behavior.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, wow. Like, and he also understands that I hate barking the way Tallulah barks. So he has figured out a way... Like if it's the morning and I'm sitting in bed too long drinking coffee, he'll come up to me and he now knows that if he does an under woof, like if he goes woof instead of woof, but if he goes woof and it's really low, he knows that I pay attention to him. And I look and it's mostly a food bark. So he's literally figured out ways in his own mind, however his cognitive process works. He's figured out a way that he can communicate to me. There's different ways, and I get it. And he knows I get it. And it's fascinating to me. And that's why I had never owned a dog before. So in my mind, I'm thinking this is an alien life form that literally has figured out ways in his very limited capacity to communicate. He's figured out his own language that I understand, that he created for me. He created it, and I didn't. And it's very interesting watching this occur. And I find it like he's a dog, but he's also an alien intellect that has created a way of communicating with me. And albeit they're very rudimentary communications, but he tells me, he's like, I need to go outside and go to the bathroom. You know, I'm hungry. Why the fuck aren't you giving me that beautiful steak that you're eating? Because I certainly can smell it, and it looks really good. And then he puts his paw onto me. And he knows when he does that, most of the time I'm like, he can feel I'm like going to capitulate and be like, all right. And then he gets a little bit of steak. And he knows. And this is all learned behavior. And I think to myself, how is it that we as human beings have somehow convinced ourselves that most of the animal kingdom is not somewhat intelligent in their own way? Like, we will hunt elephants and kill them. Just, I need money to eat. I get that. But how do you stand in front of an elephant, an incredibly majestic animal, and kill it? Like, how do we as human beings, how are we even capable of doing that? How do we know how an elephant's existence plays into our planet? What if the elephants are tied to the weather? We don't have the technology to understand how that might particularly work. We certainly don't even necessarily entertain that idea, but we don't even know. We don't even come and sit there and think, well, perhaps we shouldn't. I mean, every species that we're killing off, we have no idea the larger connection to the planet they have. We're just like, no.
There's obviously some like animals that do have higher cognitive abilities, like even elephants. Like you'll go to like the old circus ringmasters, and if you go to places like Thailand, you know, the elephants are trained. They'll lift you up with their foot onto them and stuff like that. They definitely can communicate as well. And then there's other animals that I mean, maybe with enough trying and enough times, like maybe you could get an alligator to communicate with you, but I think there's physical limitations on the size of the brain and some of the other things that you can rule out. Some of the animals can't communicate with you. Like you were saying about your dog, like you could probably do the same thing with like a wolf, train it, but at some point that wolf might turn on you, and that's why we don't do that with wolves.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, so when you're talking about aliens and they're going to come down to Earth, we're the dogs. You know,
yes.
and we're the dogs. And so we would like to believe that we're this sentient, vastly intelligent race of people that can do amazing things. But that's only because we've never had to experience anything above us.
Right.
But what if somebody above us came and treated us like the cows in the slaughterhouse? Like these people are idiots.
Yeah.
I mean, look at they'd already know that our planet's in shambles based on the atmosphere, based on the CO2 levels, based on how many coral reefs have died.
I guess that depends on how long they've been watching us.
Well, I even think technologically advanced people like the Enterprise or something, they show up on our planet, they can take readings and figure this shit out instantaneously.
I mean, if you go to a planet and there's no coral reefs, do you just assume that there was at one point coral reefs?
Well, no, but I think they could they could look at the biosphere, and if they're that technologically advanced, they can be like, there's things that would happen. They're like, okay, we understand the periodic table that defines this planet, the star stuff, as Carl Sagan would say, and they're like, we've analyzed all of the life forms, all the plant life, everything. We understand the whole ecosystem of this planet. We know what works and what doesn't work. They would know. They would be able to know very quickly.
Well, also they would also understand that coral is there for a reason. It's there to help produce life for fish, oxygen. So and places where there's no coral, fish are gone. They've disappeared. So they would wonder, okay, why is there so much fish over here but not over here? They would know instantly why. And going back to what you were saying about, I've never owned a pet, but I've seen how pets can communicate with you, or animals communicate with you. I mean, look at Diane Fossey. That was that. Yeah, with the gorilla. But I was thinking, how naive of us to think that we have to communicate with the alien. You don't think that the alien, if he wants to communicate, it wants to communicate with us, it will. If it doesn't, it won't. And we always tend to think, well, we have to communicate with them. We have to find a way to do it. When really, it's kind of a naive way of thinking. We may not need to. It's up to them.
Yep.
Well, I mean, say we find aliens on Europa, then say there's fish on Europa. That would be, it's not like every alien is going to be a higher life form than us. Like statistically speaking, if we find aliens, they're going to be like a microorganism or bacteria. Statistically speaking, I would say the aliens that we find are more than likely going to be a lower life form, unless, like you said, unless they find us.
Right.
Yeah.
But the real, I mean, look, I think that finding alien life, finding any kind of extraterrestrial life beyond our biosphere is an exciting proposition because it shows us that life can actually exist elsewhere, which we have no proof of that yet.
Exactly. That's one of the age-old questions.
Yeah, as much as we wanted to. But
like, how many planets are out there? How many galaxies are out there? And you think they're all just empty and meaningless?
Well, even in our own galaxy so far, we have 9 planets. I think Pluto's a planet. We have 9 planets, and in our solar system, we don't even know what all of the 8 planets have in store. We know Mercury and Venus are very hot. Probably no life forms there, but we don't really know. We're assuming, but that's only based on how our biosphere works. What if Mercury is so close to the sun? What if a Horta, like from the Star Trek episode Devil in the Dark, what if an actual Horta lives there and that's their life cycle? They burrow through rock, they eat rock, they lay eggs, and their younglings hatch or whatever. They're in our own solar system, and we wouldn't even know it.
Yeah.
But with those, they're not spacefaring, they're not technologically advanced. Are they still aliens?
I would say anything that's a life form would be an alien.
Yeah,
I think that's the definition.
Yeah, I mean, anything that's not human is considered alien.
Well, anything not of Earth.
Yeah, not of Earth.
Yeah, because, I mean, we call illegal aliens people across our border. They're illegal aliens. As if that's like, oh my God, they're going to not help the economy of California because a bunch of people have come in and they do work that no one else wants to do. They've only helped us. But yeah, the idea of I think it's just an interesting idea. Like when they release this report, I wonder, I think Congress is going to be like, well, what do we do about it? And everyone's going to be like, we don't know. Shoot them down out of the sky? They're going too fast. I mean, it's such a weird... Like, what are we going to... If you guys don't have a reason to deliver this report or conclusions where we can stop this stuff from happening, why are we listening to it?
So do you think they're actually going to publicly come out with a report?
Well, I think it's going to be congressionally distributed. I don't think it's going to be meant for public consumption. I want to read it.
Yeah.
The one thing that that makes me skeptical is like the amount of people needed in a cover-up. That would be the one thing that clearly, and same with like the amount of cell phones and cameras and everything, that happens in the world. The skeptic in me says that why are these, seems like it's the United States Air Force right now, but there's no other air forces, there's no other shipping vessels, it's the one thing would be the amount of cover-up needed that makes me skeptical of anything currently.
Well, that's going back to what Rob was saying earlier. Why are they only showing themselves to military jets or the Navy jets? Why are they the only ones actually seeing these things flying around and nobody else?
Because the aliens love Top Gun.
They want to see the new movie coming out.
I know. They're like, that's why they came here. All that UAP activity is like, well, shit, man. We came to see Maverick, Top Gun 2, and now it's going to wait. We have to wait a year?
It's been pushed back again.
Oh, well, we'll set up shop in the ocean. We'll just hang out. You call us when we're ready. Or call us when you're ready.
Yeah, I was listening to the show earlier, and I think you guys were talking about the unidentified aerial phenomenon and why they call it that. And I think that's because a lot of times nowadays with people with their cell phones and stuff, it could be just a simple like lens glare, that looks like something. And that's why that is not an object in the sky. That's just a lens glare or something magnetic or a shadow. And that's why they changed to aerial phenomenon rather than objects.
Oh, yeah.
To me, though, when I hear the phenomenon, I'm thinking, something supernatural, a ghost or something like that. I'm not thinking a metal, or who knows if it's metal, but an object that you can
Everything
see
can be
and
metal.
feel.
Come on now.
That's right.
Everything.
And so, when I hear the word phenomenon, I'm thinking, so they're seeing ghosts up in the sky now? And I'm not immediately thinking alien.
No. Like I said, I think phenomenon covers a wide spectrum in terms of like northern lights. That's a phenomenon. The sun's magnetic field bouncing, or the sun's rays bouncing off the Earth's magnetic field. There's there's like I said, like a lens glare would be a phenomenon. There's a whole host of things that it could be that aren't objects. That's not a physical object in the sky. That just kind of looks like an object.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they changed the definition to UAPs rather than UFOs. It's because a lot of these things on these videos aren't objects.
Yeah, I guess there's a full spectrum of what phenomenon actually means.
Right.
It's just my go-to thinking is supernatural. But yeah, like I said earlier, I'm just I grew up with UFO, so it's just hard for me to switch over to UAPs. It just sounds ridiculous.
It's not cool, man. It's just some government agency. It's some bureaucracy. I mean, UFOs, like I said, what an onomatopoeia. A UFO knows exactly what it is. You say UFO to people, they're like, they get it. From 6 to 60. Oh, it's a UFO? Yes, I get that. All right. So, by the way, Stubble McShave says, we're celebrating midsummer today. Uh-oh. I haven't seen any weird cult stuff. Although my neighbor looks shifty. Gonna eat herring, drink snaps, and have a barbecue. There's some dancing around a phallic-shaped fertility symbol, seeding the ground, but nothing weird. All right, well, Stubble, I'm not going to judge the Swedes. The real question is, will the Swedes be judged by the aliens when they arrive? That's up to you. I can't answer that question.
And Stubble, if you see anyone skinning a bear skin or making a bear suit, run the other way. Just run the other way.
Actually, right before I started watching your show, I popped on the Halloween Kills trailer.
Oh, I like that trailer.
You thought it was pretty good?
I liked it. I
Yeah.
hated the last Halloween movie.
Oh, really?
I hated it. Now, the first pre-recorded video cassette I ever owned was the original Halloween. I've probably seen it 100 times, literally. For whatever reason, there was nothing about the last Halloween movie I liked. Nothing. Zero. I hated every shot. I hated every choice. However, that said, I really liked the Halloween Kills trailer.
Yeah, that's pretty weird that you love this new trailer. Then.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm dying to though. But Halloween, the remake. How is it a remake? I don't know. But the sequel Halloween that was just made a few years ago. I hated the supposedly Dr. Loomis character.
Oh God.
I could not stand him. I hated it, and I hated what they try to do with that character, trying to do this shocking twist when you saw it coming a mile away, and I couldn't stand that part of the movie. But,
yeah, no, I hated everything about it. I thought everything didn't work. I hate every shot choice. Literally, like every shot they picked, I was annoyed by.
What about that hilarious little kid that was like getting babysat? That kid was hilarious.
Hated it. I hated all of it. I hated all of it so much. I like Jamie Lee Curtis, but I'm like, this is like they did this already in Halloween H2O.
Yeah.
Like, did you guys not see that? I hated it. I just
yeah.
So and I didn't want to.
So, like I said, I haven't seen the new trailer of Halloween Kills, but what did you like in the trailer? Did you like about it compared to the other Halloween?
Gore, killing, less pretentious.
The Halloween theme throughout the whole trailer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, okay, I'll watch this. The Halloween 3 homage again. I'm like, but you see more of them?
They hinted at a little bit more supernatural as well.
Yep.
Oh, really? Is John Carpenter helping with the score again?
Yep. I think he is scoring it.
Because I think didn't he just help with the score, the last one? I can't remember.
No, I think he actually scored the movie.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay, I
think he did.
Another composer. Speaking about movies, I was hoping I could do this on your show, Rob.
Uh-oh.
I received this package here. I have no idea what's in it. It's from a viewer of mine.
What's in the box?
You mind if I open and see what's in it?
Dude, are you kidding me? Open it.
What's in the box?
Do it.
What's in the box?
Well, detective, I went to your house and I met your pretty wife.
Ooh, nice. Ready?
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Major Dundee from Arrow. Oh, no, that's Indicator, right?
No, it's Arrow.
It is Arrow?
Yeah, I don't think it comes out until Tuesday, though. So
wait, that really is Arrow? That's not Indicator? It is?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's Arrow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure how he got it because I think it doesn't come out till Tuesday. So.
Well, voices carry. You never know.
Cool. Yeah, I have never seen this one. This is the only Sam Peckinpah movie I've not seen.
Wow.
And
what a great package that is.
Yeah, it comes with the extended 2-hour and 16-minute version, 60-page hardbound booklet, posters, it comes with theatrical and the extended cut, lobby cards and all the good stuff. Yeah, so.
Wow.
Thank you.
And a great, I think that's Tony or whatever the artist's name is.
Yeah.
That guy's amazing.
Oh, he's awesome. Because he's done most of Arrow's artwork, right?
Yeah, he's incredible. The guy's incredible.
Yeah. I just
the real question is, would Major Dundee believe in UAPs? I don't know.
No, as soon as he shot one, he'd probably shoot one in the face.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? Become an alien scout, go to interesting places, interesting planets, meet human beings, and kill them.
So Rob,
yeah,
you've obviously seen this, correct?
I have, but you know what? I saw that a long time ago, and I haven't seen it, oh my God, in 30 years.
Wow.
So that's definitely a disc I should get. That's a great package.
I heard that they originally were going to shoot this whole entire new opening scene, an entire Apache attack, and the studio didn't want to pay for it because they were going already over budget. and
Right.
they wanted to, and they wanted to get this thing out on time. And Charlton Heston even gave back his salary in order to pay for it. Studio took it, but they still never allowed them to shoot the what they wanted to shoot.
Those
So,
dicks.
so yeah. So, but yeah, I can't wait to check this out. Like I said, it's the only Sam Peckinpah movie I haven't seen.
Wow.
So if aliens came to Earth and they said, "Hey, the universe is full of planets. You guys can come on an adventure, but you have to leave right now, and you'll never come back to Earth." Would you guys take the option?
Yep. Yes, I would. Wouldn't even think twice. But I would ask them to at least, come back and get me a stream of the new James Bond movie. Because I saw this extended trailer. It was like a fan-made trailer. It was so good. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to see this movie so bad.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the movies you'll miss, though.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, my life is ebbing away slowly. I'm going to be dead soon. So I'd be like, okay, I want to do something interesting. Kevin Wellborn says, Major Dundee I bought from Imprint, no book. I saw the restoration in a theater. Wow, that's cool.
Nice. So I know it's a new 4K restoration. Yeah, 4K scan restoration.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna buy the Snyder Cut in 4K?
Oh, dude, I already have it.
Oh, you got it?
Oh, yeah, it's right here. Actually, this is not my copy. This is I forget. I have it listed. It's right here.
So that's the UK version, right? Is that not in the PAL format?
No, this is 4K. 4K around the world is usually not locked.
Okay.
So yeah, I got this. I bought this from the UK. Although I will say this, I did see. I don't know if it's genuine. I did see pictures of a box of Zack Snyder's Man of Steel trilogy, and it's all 3 movies in 4K. I'm like, I would buy that just to get the box, just to have it. But
yeah, just as a side note, I talked to.
By the way, this is not my copy. This is a viewer's copy. This disc is fucking incredible.
Oh.
The bit rate. Do you have it?
No, it comes out in Canada in like a couple months.
Oh, this disc, it looks amazing. It's really
incredible. It's incredible. Yeah, I talked to my guy at Warner Brothers Home Entertainment, and he was telling me that it's the exact same that the US version is the exact same transfer as the UK, except that the US version is going to have Dolby Atmos. That's the only difference, and it's not going to include the Justice Gray edition or any other kind of special features.
No, they're not. This disc doesn't even have a Blu-ray. It's just the 4K split across 2 discs.
Yeah, and I think it's just got like a 10-minute like featurette, and that's it. So it's basically the same thing as the UK, just with a Dolby Atmos.
Bare bones. Well, that's worth getting the domestic.
I used to work at Blockbuster, and we got so many people. There's a couple movies, like I remember Stephen King's It came on a DVD that you had to flip over.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And we got so many people that called in saying, "I only got 1 disc," like they were just angry at us. We're like, you flip the disc over like a record, and then we had so many people like call and complain. And then with multi-disc ones too, we'd get people that obviously return the movie with only one of the discs in the box and stuff like that. And it was kind of a pain to have to get up and change the disc in the middle of it as well. At least with Justice League, there's like built-in breaks, I guess.
Yeah, well, Justice League is also on two discs.
Right.
So 4 hours is spread over 2 discs.
Yep.
But I remember having company over when I had Laserdisc, and I would play a movie in CAV, which would only be 20 minutes.
Well, it was like a half an hour.
Yeah,
it was
30 minutes. They would get so pissed off because it would end 30 minutes into the movie, and I'd have to get up. I mean, no, because I had one that automatically switched over, but still, it would stop in the middle of the movie, wait for it to flip over, and man, they got so pissed off. They didn't want to come watch movies anymore with me.
Well, yeah. Sorry, I keep eating pistachios, but I'm addicted to pistachios and water. But yeah, but people that love Laserdiscs, you put up with that because they look so good back in the day.
Yeah.
Have you watched a Laserdisc in the last 10 years?
No, I haven't.
They look terrible.
Oh, I imagine.
I mean, I loved laser. I had hundreds of them. I mean, I spent so much money on lasers because that's all we had was NTSC video.
Mm-hmm.
Garbage. I mean, HD video is 6 times better than
Oh,
what we had, and boy, it's really. But we didn't know any better.
It was the technology at the time.
Yeah.
Well, also, some of that too is the TV you're watching on today is probably like a 4K TV, and you're spreading those pixels over a bigger space. That it looks worse because of that. If you were to take that same Laserdisc and pull out your old 20-inch Toshiba tube TV, it wouldn't look as bad as what it does on your 4K OLED.
That's true, but compared to a 4K image, it still looks really bad. Yeah. It's like watching an old YouTube video.
Yeah.
You know, go watch a 480 YouTube video that was encoded 11 or 12 years ago, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah. It's still NTSC. It's just awful. It's not good.
Have you guys ever worked with like real film, like movie film?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's one thing I thought of when Justice League was 4 hours long. I was like, if they ever do put this in the theater, like they're gonna have to get new platters for that movie. Like the platter size for a 4-hour movie would be huge. Like I worked with a 2.5-hour movie and I could barely lift it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they would have ever, because even though it was originated on film, it was still finished digitally. So I don't know if they would have a print that they would show of it. Because
Well, still, like you said, they were editing it digitally. Zack Snyder said he had it on his computer.
Yeah.
The whole movie on his computer. So yeah, they would just get a huge thumb drive and send it to theaters.
Well, even the movies, like Quentin Tarantino shoots on film and projects on film. Most of the people that shoot on film don't even necessarily project on film because they have digital prints made.
Yeah.
Like I've got where to go here? So
nice.
This is just a trailer. I used to work at a theater and I took a trailer. This is like a minute of film here.
Oh yeah. I know.
Yeah, people don't realize how much film even a trailer actually takes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the first thing I thought of when I saw Justice League's runtime. I was like, oh my god.
The Physically Challenged says Laserdiscs were first-gen DVD quality. Actually, they were less than that because DVDs were progressive scan. And you could actually, as opposed to interlaced.
Yeah, 480p.
Yeah, and that was the great thing. We had NTSC video, and by the way, DVD was still NTSC video. It was not high def. So we had, interlacing is this. There's, for every 1 second of a quick lesson, very oversimplified, there are 30 frames in most, in broadcast television, made up of 2 individual video fields. So there's 60 frames a second. And they were interlaced. So it was like this, and they would go back and forth. But then when they came up with DVD, it was possible to create progressive scan 24 frame, which was like film. So instead of going like this, it was together, and the frame, it would run at 24 frames. So you could basically watch on DVD the image the same way as if it was projected in a theater. The problem was it was still low res. It was still NTSC video. And it wasn't until Blu-ray that we got HD that was 6 times better than that. So we watched NTSC video for 50 years not knowing the difference. But if you go back and you watch a YouTube video at 480, you can get a taste of what it used to be like back then. And it sucked.
When did... sorry, go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say, and they did, I think that for the new 3D, like in the cinema 3D, they brought back the interlaced for the left and right eye polarization.
Yes, they did. And that's how that worked.
When did 16:9 come on DVD?
Well, close to the beginning of it.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember. I mean, there was no Laserdisc that was 16:9 that I recall.
No, there weren't. Because they really discontinued Laserdiscs in 2000 and 2001. And that was a transition point. So they never were able to make Laserdiscs anamorphic because they didn't have widescreen TVs.
Yeah, there's no reason to. Yeah.
So
Yes. So I get to ask this all the time. I think your answer is probably going to be as mine. Do you think 4K is it, or do you think there's more after 4K?
no, I think 4K is it. They're never going to go back. I mean, I would say never, but even 4K with the amount of what it sells, it's if you look at DVD sales are still 50% of physical media. You think, really? But they are. And then it's Blu-ray, and then 4K is a very small percentage of what's left. We can't even see in 8K.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're ever going to make. I mean, they might make novelty things or something, but unless you're going to stream it, which would be for that pipeline would be huge. Why bother? Like, why bother going to 4K unless you're catering to the fan base? Or I mean, look, a great 4K disc is amazing. It's amazing. I want every movie in 4K. They're just not going to take the time and go back. You can only go back to the negative unless it's remastered in 4K already and then put it out. But even Criterion hasn't gone 4K. It's so weird.
Is your question in terms of physical discs? Is that what you're asking?
Well, at all. I mean,
oh no, then for sure not. For sure, there's going to be higher resolutions. Let's not get carried away and think that 4K is the end of it.
Oh no, there's going to be higher resolutions, but there's not going to be physical media beyond 4K.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at with this question there. Yeah,
because one, movies really don't exist at that much of a higher resolution. They'll do gaming might. I can see gaming go into 4, 6, 8K.
Definitely.
I mean, especially with virtual reality coming into play, and I could see that happening. But no, the studios are not going to go back and start retransferring their negative at anything at 8K. I can't. So, what a nightmare that would be.
Before the pandemic happened, the Tokyo Olympics were to be broadcast, over-the-air broadcast by NHK in 8K.
Yeah, but they're the only people that have any HK. There's no one in the rest of the world can get it. You know, it's you have to have an 8K TV and an 8K pipeline to deliver that image to you in 8K.
That is correct, but I mean that's the same as any I work in the TV sales business, and every time there's a new resolution, we hear the same thing. This is the end of it. Your eyes can only see 720p. What's going to be better than 720p? Nothing. Nothing can ever be better.
No, yeah, but you know, by the way, you were going to get me a Panasonic, remember? Come on. I want my 77-inch OLED. But the thing is, I think now we really are at the edge of where we can see. 4K really is the end of the road as far as, and beyond that, the problem is they don't have the technology in place to actually take, say, a film element and make an 8K version of it, because you'd have to put it up on a telecine and scan it in and deal with that. There's no reason to. You know, there's no. They'll do it with gaming. They'll do it with virtual technology, with the stagecraft system. No doubt they'll do it there. But I don't think they're ever going to make consumer electronics beyond 4K.
I agree. I don't think they're ever going to make physical media beyond 4K.
That's what I mean.
But the resolution is going to go higher than 4K for streaming, for movies, for movie theaters,
and gaming.
For sure. And gaming, for sure.
And also things like virtual reality. And making movies. The stagecraft technology will go to 8K, because what they're doing is they're going to replace green screen and do it in real time.
Right.
With Unreal Engine. That's what they're going to do. But I just don't think, you know, and the sales figures of physical media, unfortunately, they're falling precipitously, and they have been every year. The studios themselves are going to be the first people to get out of physical media. Mm-hmm. Because everything all their big movies they've already put out. So they'll license their stuff out, and you'll go to them and shout and scream. They'll license movies, but even they're like, we need to move into a different realm because we can only sell so many horror films or genre films before we run out.
Right, and why sell the movie once when you could get a person to subscribe to it monthly?
Yeah,
yep, exactly.
And I'm saying streaming service like Netflix or Amazon, they're already streaming 4K, but look how much bandwidth it needs in 4K. I don't think they're going to go to 8K anytime soon. They would need so much more.
Yeah, we don't have the infrastructure or bandwidth to have 8K.
Exactly. So then there'd be absolutely no reason to transfer movies into 8K, even for streaming.
So here's my take on that then, if you want to. So basically, you probably wouldn't have the infrastructure to transfer a movie in 8K in real time. But if a person has, say, an Apple TV that has 64 gigabytes of storage, or an NVIDIA Shield that has 256 gigabytes of storage, you can stream an 8K movie as long as you, say, pre-download most of it. Then by the time you finish streaming, you might be able to get it. Or somewhere along that lines where, hey, look, this movie comes out tomorrow, but guess what? On Thursday night, just like with any large video game, you can download it onto your Apple TV, you can download it onto your NVIDIA Shield, and then tomorrow night, you can watch that thing in glorious 8K when the 8K Apple TV comes out.
And then my question would be, but why do you want to?
For the same reason you could watch the 4K video over the 720p one.
Well, I mean, 8K though. I mean, it's proven that you can't see in 8K. To me, yeah, it might look a little bit sharper, a little bit cleaner, but overall, to me, I'd be just as happy with 4K compared to 8K, and it wouldn't take as long to download onto a device. And who knows about buffering from the device to your TV?
Like I said, I've heard this argument for years and years that every time a new resolution comes out, people get all scientific about the human eye can see. And every time it's, we're at the limit now. And there's been 4 or 5 more generations since I've heard the first time we're at the limit of the human eye. And same with like, if you're bringing up gaming, same with frame rates. That's the one thing I'm more interested in, is whether movies are going to go higher than the 24 frames per second. I never got to watch The Hobbit in the 48 frames. It didn't really show in my theater here. So I'd be very interested to see how that goes.
I saw it, and the problem with that is that, to be honest, we have been conditioned to look at 24 frame imagery that's projected at 24 frames, and you're dealing with persistence of vision, which means movies are still just one still frame after another, and the speed with which the projector goes, it creates the illusion of movement using persistence of vision.
Right.
So the problem now is that when you go higher or different kinds of resolution, we don't even have a way to transfer 8K. Like, you can have a red camera, I guess, that could shoot in 8K, and you could preserve it at that level if you wanted to. But the data storage, again, it's, 6 times larger than 4K? Yeah. That is huge. How do you store that? How do you send that through a pipeline? An uncompressed movie at that size is ginormous. I don't know what you would do with it.
It's insane.
Or how you would do something with it.
Yeah, like I said, in terms of today's technology, you'd have to pre-download it onto a device. That's what you would have to do.
But
it reminds me of, now I've never worked on this personally myself, but I've had people that have, and going back to the frame rates, if you have a higher frame rate, more than 30, if you're going to 60, 120, it's a lot more expensive. It takes a lot more time to do pre-res. It takes a lot more time for graphics to render. A lot more space is needed for memory storage, more computers, and it's a lot more expensive than shooting in 24p.
Yeah.
And for, some people I've known in the industry says that's one of the biggest reasons why studios don't want to shoot at a higher frame rate, because it's so much more expensive and takes so much more time.
Well, right. Not only that, one of the things about The Hobbit is when you're shooting with high frame rates, there is an unreality that is also part of the technology of watching movies. There's film stocks, color, grain, and we're used to that. And if suddenly, one of the things that when I was watching The Hobbit, I'm like, I am not trained to watch this movie correctly because it was really the first of its kind. And so how do you watch that? You can't. And you eventually can, but when I was watching this, I was like, it put the zap on my head. And how do you make something look real? And I think the higher resolution that you get, it's harder to even shoot somebody, like, say, against a background because you can see so much. You're like, oh, that they're just in front of a flat. There's not really sunlight coming down.
Which is something that stagecrafting will solve.
Right, exactly. And that they'll probably use 8K.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're backdrops. You have an 8K, you go to Hong Kong, you shoot a bunch of stuff, and you put it up on those backdrops, and you're golden.
Yeah, we interviewed Fabian Wagner, cinematographer of Justice League and Game of Thrones. We talked about stagecrafting with him, and he said that they actually started using stagecrafting in the last two seasons of Game of Thrones.
Wow.
And he said they used it a lot because of how expensive it was and how expensive the show already is. But he said that it's incredible because you're actually standing there and it feels like and looks like you're in that environment.
And you can move the camera.
You can move the camera.
And it shows the parallax and all that.
And he said, and most importantly, it's easier for the actors to interact with what's something that's actually there that they can see compared to a golf ball. And so he was saying, stagecrafting is going to take over in the next couple of years. Green screen's going to be the thing of the past.
Yeah.
I've got a question to ask you guys about that. Say you had a director like, say, Chloe Zhao, and say she's going to Marvel to pitch her movie, The Eternals. If Chloe Zhao is kind of known for like character dramas, how would she have any idea of what the budget would be that she would need to make The Eternals? And the second question is, how does she do all these special effects? Do they hire a special effects team and then she gets like a crash course, like a 2-week, this is how we do it. This is what you need to have done. How does that work?
Well, first of all, she doesn't have to worry about effects or anything like that. She's given a script. She reads the script. If she responds to it, she's like, okay, I want to make this. And usually it's because of the story. Now, obviously in the script, there's going to be a call for special effects, but Marvel has a department. What happens is all Marvel movies are previs. There's pre-visualization that comes in, meaning there's animatics. So the effects company is designing scenes based on the script.
Yeah, I was just using that one as an example. Say you have a director that's more known for character dramas, and then all of a sudden they want to do a big special effects movie, regardless of Marvel. How does that work?
Well, then they can. You think about it. When you're making a movie, all that matters is what do you see in the frame? What do we need to create what you see in the frame? And so when it comes to visual effects, you have to ask yourself, okay, like I have a script right now that there's an abandoned rocket factory, and these characters come across the rocket factory. There is no abandoned rocket factory. So I know that that's a visual effect. So it's in the script. I don't worry about it. I'm like, there's an abandoned rocket factory. They see it over the horizon, whatever. The trees are there. That's just an establishing shot. And then what happens is your production designer will do a sketch of whatever that looks like. And you work through the process, and all the departments are constantly doing things and refining them and doing things and refining them until they get to the look of whatever it is they're making, and they make it.
Okay, so say you're trying to pitch your movie to a studio to get made. Obviously, you need money up front to start making it. How do you know how much money to ask for without running out of money? Say all you've worked on is character dramas, and now you want to work on a something that's a bit bigger with special effects.
Yeah, well, the thing is, all of these things pretty much have costs that are fixed. Like, there's many companies around Hollywood that are effects companies. And what you do is, you're like, here's my script, bid on this. And they might come back to you, and you might get 6 bids from different companies. 90 million, 85 million with a caveat, 105 million, 110 million. So they've made the movies, and then you decide later, whether you want to pick them up or not.
Okay.
But
And
they're
then
already made. So, and then when the people that are making them, like when you get a script, right? When you read a script and you don't have financing, you read it and you think to yourself, okay, there's a scene. I'll give you an example. There's a scene in a restaurant in a script where people are talking. The question then is, how busy is the restaurant? How many background character actors do we need to fill up this space? And then, okay, you have a long dialogue soliloquy that's going to take us 4 or 5 hours to shoot, with everything else, because there's got to be character actors that are walking on the street or whatever. It's got to look real. So as you go along, in one day, you might be employing thousands of people, and they all have to get paid. But all of that was pre-planned because it's in the script, and they're like, okay, how are we going to do this? And then there's a production meeting where everybody sits around a table, and you look at the script, and they're like, how can we maximize our budget to do this? And every department head weighs in and helps out.
So,
and
for I think like with the visual effects, after you say that you bid on the company, they say 85 million.
Wait, hang on. You guys are talking at the same time. Hold on.
No, I can't hear him.
Are we?
Oh yeah, you're talking the same. Paul, not Paul Twinflix. Paul, you Paul on the right. Go first.
Okay, so say after you get you go through it, 85 million. You're like, all right, we're gonna go with this studio. Now, would that studio send a person over to like give you like a crash course on how to run their visual effects? Like you need this many like little green balls on the character.
No. Because what happens is there are freelance visual effects supervisors that work for all the different studios. So you probably have like 10 people to choose from.
Okay.
And what you want to do is there's 10 visual effects supervisors that have different ways of doing things. And what you want to do is you want to hire the visual effects supervisor that will most aid your project. Most get it done. And that's how it's done. So the studios, like they're hiring the same people, but then everybody might be fighting over there's 10 great visual effects supervisors in the world at any one time. There's more than that, but let's say for the sake of argument that there's only 10. The studios need to have those people. They're like, we want to hire that guy because he's the best of the best.
Yeah.
And the studios they'll work in tandem with the director, like who should we hire? But the studios will be like, well, this guy, we've used him on 10 other movies. He's great. The director's like, okay. And then they meet and decide if they want to work together, and that's kind of where it goes.
Interesting. The part that I guess I was the most confused about is, like you said, like you take your script to the 6 different VFX houses, and then they tell you how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, they'll bid on it.
Yeah. I would assume that's where a lot of projects die for a lot of people. Then you're like, they're like, oh, I'm going to make a $20 million movie. Like, what? This is a $120 million movie now?
Yeah, you're exactly right. So many projects go to die based on that very thing. They can't raise enough money, no matter what, no matter who's in it. It's a movie that this movie's too small subject matter wise. If you might have Tom Cruise or Leonardo DiCaprio or Matt Damon, they'll star in your movie, but the story's just too slight, and that's always frustrating.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a bummer. So many movies don't get made that should. It's very frustrating.
On my end, I can't hear Paul.
I don't know. Is Paul the other Paul frozen?
Talking when he's not.
No, Paul from Saskatoon. Stop for a second, Paul. Twin Flicks, Paul. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, I couldn't hear what you were saying, Paul. But from my little experience I've had and knowledge, like I said, I haven't worked in the industry for about 15 years now, so things may have changed since then. I'm sure.
Probably not.
Depends, I guess. But yeah, I mean, as Rob said, that most of the time they do bids, but then if you go to a studio like Marvel or DC, they have a script ready for you to read. Yep. They have a budget all set out already. Everything's pre-planned on those big studios, so you don't really have to worry about a budget or what's going on in that realm. And as Rob was saying about where a lot of movies go to die, unfortunately, with the bidding process, that's when I know some directors who went to a big major studio and they lost because of the bid, and they ended up tying up the script, taking out this, taking out that, doing away with this, basically completely rearranging the story and changing the story and made it as an independent film. And that's a lot of route that I've seen a lot of directors going to now.
Yeah.
Is more independent than studio films.
Yeah, because someone like Netflix can pick it up and you don't have to make the money back theatrically.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a big deal. So, but yeah, it's a wacky business. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you just kind of got to go with it. Gentlemen, listen, it's 2:00. I've got to get up early tomorrow, and I love this conversation. I want to thank you both for being here, and I want to thank Alex for being here too. I'm sorry you got kicked off. I don't know what happened then. It was sunspots, man. It was aliens. It was UAPs. I want to thank you both for being here. So I will bid you both farewell. This is a good conversation. And Paul, I still want to get that plasma not plasma. I want to get my my OLED, the 77-inch Panasonic. That new Sony Master Series, though, that's pretty damn good. It's pretty great.
All right. Well, thanks Rob for having me on, and it's been a blast talking to you. It's a great conversation.
Always good, everyone. Paul, thanks for being here. I'm going to take my leave of you, gents, and maybe tomorrow the UFO report will in fact be released. Who knows? Maybe it won't be. Maybe it will. I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel generously via super chats and tips. Thank you so much. I want to thank my moderating staff. I know Bunyan Snipe was here earlier. I don't know who else is here. Bunyan Snipe is here. Simon Gilmore is here. Oh, wait. Simon Gilmore was here. Anyway, were you watching? So thank you guys for being here. I very much appreciate it. Tomorrow, of course, is Midnight Metal, where will come on her first night as an official co-host. I'll be back on the John Campy Show in mere hours, and I will be on Robservations tomorrow, so join in the fun. Other than that, gosh, I don't know what else is going on. I want to thank everybody for being here. Again, this was Midnighter number 20. I don't know if it'll come back, but hey, we'll see. Whining About Movies is going to come back in a week from now. So anyway, we'll see. But thank you all for being here. It's a fun time. I hope it was fun for you. And on that note, I would say, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear, and all you have to do is listen. And with that, I would say, as always, have a better day. And I mean that sincerely. And let's hope those UAPs land. I mean, whether you're going to get anally probed or not, wouldn't you want to take a flight on a UFO? I would. I'd buzz the International Space Station and wave to people. It'd be fun. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe tomorrow